Hello everyone, I hope you guys are doing really well. Thank you so much for joining me here. Just sending so many blessings to you all, and such a big thank you to friend of the channel and member Haley for this beautiful gift. I hope that the sound is better on the videos so you guys don't have to max out your headphones because that's probably really uncomfortable. So thank you so much, Haley. Everyone sending gratitude to Haley for her incredible gift. Thank you so much. So for today, we're doing a very beautiful session connecting directly to the plasmic consciousness of the sun and of the ionosphere now. We are in solar maximum, and solar maximum has been so crazy. So many solar storms, lots of activity, lots of coronal holes. 3i Atlas is still in the solar system. I think it's getting closer to Earth. I'm not exactly sure when exactly that the closest it will be. I think it's sometime later in the month. But most certainly, and in the little sort of pre-healing I did before I pressed record on the video, lots of information coming through in recognition of our oneness with this plasmic consciousness and sort of extending the borders of what we believe we are with the assistance of this consciousness, very much understanding that this is us in different dimensional form, and it is coming to sort of help us let go of the idea of there being an outside of us, of there being a world at which there are sort of attacks being directed upon us, or information coming from, or control coming from parties or actors outside of us. We are in a dawning of a consciousness that it is required to understand that the field is one, and that we are all of one mind experiencing itself at different sort of vector points in the morphogenetic field of the holographic universe, understanding that we do believe in ideas of separation, but in order to truly embody higher, more expanded consciousness that holds more memory of one, that we need to let go of that idea of an oppositional force or actors, I guess, that are not one with ourself. Forgiveness is a process in which it is required to understand the oneness. And so specifically, the sort of templates that are coming through in this transmission are to dissolve, to bring into awareness, as I'm sure we're already feeling. Because a lot of times, especially yesterday's storm felt very significant by the way of sort of agitating the field, so that it is easier for us to, sort of see, sense, feel the distortions that we're still holding, that which we might not be taking responsibility for believing, and kind of seeing how this projection is creating the physical experience that we no longer want. We are not letting the past dictate the future, but in order to not have that happen, we really have to take responsibility for the way that we are seeing and sensing and feeling, and tracing that to the sort of root belief in an otherness which doesn't exist, in a state of being that cannot exist. It's not just ourselves and other people, but it's our otherness from God. That's really the core relationship that we are healing now. And so we are dropping these ancestral survival fears and these genetic imprints and templates that sort of run in the unconscious and the subconscious, making them conscious in order to really be free of them, understand their unreality, understand their status as illusions in the dream, that they don't really have power to control us except when we give life to them through our fear, through our anticipation of them happening, through our giving of life force energy to them, maintaining the structure with our choice of attention. And so we want to shift from this idea of being a victim of form and being a co-creator of form, which is what we are. We are co-creators in the universe with the substance of God. And so, but the aspect of this that is reunion with these plasmic consciousness, which is us in more expanded, more remembering forms, these new forms, it's really coming into call to say, you are not alone in this. We are giving you now visual representations, to sort of help us understand that what we thought might just be imagination, might just be, spiritual sight, that's real, that's what's real. And you will be shown if you ask for help, because we could see this, the filaments of the sun. People are starting to see these sort of plasmic orbs in the sky. They sort of look like beautiful globules. They are consciousness, they are beings. I would not say that they're alien in the way that a lot of people think about that. We are human beings with bodies, and so we tend to sort of anthropomorphize other consciousness states that we might be interacting with or communicating with for ease of interface. Understand you're doing that to help yourself understand what it is so you don't freak out. It's not usually the thing that's doing that, it's your processing system. But if you do that, that's fine. It's just to understand that there are different ways of being, but it's all alive, it's all conscious, and it has intention. And these consciousness bodies that are coming through have the intention to assist us in our awakening to ourself in greater being, in more expanded interdimensional, multidimensional being, for greater co-creative capability in the field, which unity is required for. And so accepting these beings as one with ourself, one of the self. And in that way, when we place our attention on the truth, when we give our attention to spirit, because we can't serve two masters, because two opposing thought systems cannot exist in the same place of awareness, being in awareness of the true divinity, being in awareness of the true self, of love, the reality of love, naturally dissolves fear. It is no longer there for us to see because it can't be in two places, and really because fear doesn't exist in any kind of eternal way. It's just an idea, it's a passing fancy of a sort of completely derailed mind. And so these plasmic beings are bringing us into the awareness of more of ourselves through them as an assistance, but really would like us to understand that they are one with us, that we are all solar beings, and they are us in these different manifested forms. It's to be realigned with our power, realigned with our unity, and realigned with our peace, so that we can really powerfully dismantle these structures of fear. So just taking a nice deep breath, bringing our awareness into the center of all being, into our eternal life. We're giving our attention to spirit at this time. Allowing the transmission from the plasmic consciousness to come forth from within your heart. Let it to restructure the heart, to open the heart to more channels of communication and to the direct line with our eternal life, our inner being, our highest self, the self that knows, the Christ. Kimianayan sotruais dishtator kuin samtrais, shinsikirea torru kuin sitriatut, kimiantao sumsha kinindriatosia, shinsitriatorru kinindri, ya korru isitrorru kuin santraya, yorru kuya sincha kinindriata, ya korru kinindriatusum satri, kitoyos orru kuit, kinindruam natriki, Kinindria yanayonuyoshi trais datokuma sandrayas norrietisiata, hinindriha kinandru omsatru aoshikiri kiyas nandrastias, shitria korruiti singiatas. And just to soothe any agitation that's coming through, soothe any sort of latent fears, bringing any latent fears, any lingering connections to past timelines, out of habit, If you think about it in terms of the neural pathways, these synaptic pathways, these grooves that get built in our brain by just the sheer habit of the thoughts, right? Extrapolate that out to all levels of your system, all mind fields. because the mind is much more than what's just in our brain, and it has many interdimensional levels. So allowing all of those interdimensional levels of mind to be brought into coherence, to be brought into our awareness as different sort of tuning in channels of expression, Kimiandroawosumsiti, and communication. So when throughout eons of time, throughout the ancestral genetic record, throughout the lineage, throughout the morphogenetic templates that are left from different lives of being here in this universal realm, that we can see these shared beliefs leave these kinds of grooves in the field that people just sort of naturally fall into because they are already there. They are consensus, like they're shared, and we agree that this is how the world works. And so we sort of fall into these patterns. And as we are expanding ourselves, as we are remembering more of our being, more of the truth of our being, more of the interdimensionality, more of source, remembering more of source, allowing more of source in through us, that we sort of pop ourselves out of these grooves and we are expanding into different ways of being. But that is a newness to us, right? That's a newness to this sort of consciousness body, or a very, very long time forgotten, right? Is really what it is. It's so long forgotten that it feels completely new to us, yes? So the memory of it is still there, and there, this plasmic beingness is coming forward to say, it's all still there. You haven't left. You haven't lost this capability, and you need do nothing to make up for the fact that you forgot, or that you don't have to earn it. You don't have to even work hard. You just have to sort of let go and let it be. But that when we are popping ourselves off from these grooves, or choosing different paths, choosing different ways of being that are not necessarily what everyone else in the field that are still working around in these grooves are doing, we start to feel like we've lost our context. We start to feel like we're in danger because we're kind of out there floating, not in the current of what everyone else is doing. And so we're vulnerable to attack, or we're vulnerable to failing because there's not an established way of doing it. Being in the one groove of the 9 to 5 assures your paycheck, and then that's security, and then you know that you're safe, right? And then if you decide, oh, maybe I'm called to do something else here, but that takes you off that groove, that income doesn't come every 2 weeks the way that it used to, and then you say, oh my God, I am in so much danger. I'm not going to be able to feed myself. I'm not going to be able to house myself or my family. I'm going to be destitute. This idea of desperation is really coming through to be soothed, because you're not in danger. You're just choosing differently from the old established ways of the paradigm, of these old grooves, of these morphogenetic imprints. And so as we sort of clear these imprints from ourself, which is really all that we can do, is to clear it from our sort of individualized incarnational template, because that's all we have choice over, right? But when we understand what the self really is and how shared everything here is in this realm, we understand that we do indeed do it for all, because we leave the way of the way that we did it, right? Because it's a morpho, if you don't understand what that is, there's a lot of technical research that I really encourage you to do your own sort of investigation on, because it's going to be able to describe it a lot better than I will, because it comes to me as a very experiential thing. I didn't learn about that through science. It could come through to you that way also. I'm not saying it can't, but if you are interested, there's a lot of research on the on morphogenetics and morphogenetic templates and fields, and how that works in sort of ancestral ways and planetary historical kind of ways. So we leave these new templates through being brave and living in the way that is led by our heart. But understand, in the plasmic beings, the sun, the solar consciousness that's coming through to us through this, it's not just in this transmission, it's coming through at all moments. It is always, we are always exposed to this. It's always in ourself. It's always We always exist there, but it's really coming through now to remind us that you don't go that way alone. You're never alone. It's always with you. You are building these new grooves, and it might seem like you're really pioneering something that's never been. But the more you practice, the more you understand that they too already exist, because all is in creation. And it's not a separated groove because you're intending to know yourself without separation. And so you offer this to the whole field in very expanded ways that are very difficult to relate in our language. But understand that you're not alone and you're not forced into those grooves of repeating the past. It's really up to you. It's really your decision. And so, in these ancestral survival fears that we're really bringing up to clear in this transmission, we understand that we're really healing the relationship. Healing these survival fears is synonymous to healing your relationship to God, to source, to creator, to whatever word you resonate with, the being, the eternal beingness, the I am. It is a reconciliation of your beingness with that. It is a reunification of your true self. It's a remembrance of your true self. Because these ancient survival fears exist out of a false idea, out of a rejection of God, a rejection of unity. If you were really unified, if you really believed yourself unified, what would there be to be afraid of? You would lack nothing, and you truly do lack nothing. And so we replace these ancient survival templates with abundance templates, which are natural, which are ever present, and are available at all times to everyone. And so I think we talked about imagination as reality a little bit, but that might have come through before I pressed record. So if we didn't, we're connecting to these imagination realms, these tuning in. Nikola Tesla talked about this a lot when he said, I've never invented anything. I'm tuning myself into a shared field of information, the quantum field, which holds all information in it, and I am working in these imaginative realms and bringing it through form based on what I've seen in my imagination. It's already fully created there. I'm not making anything up. I'm just bringing down these pieces to fulfill my vision here on Earth. And I think really more than the free energy that he was bringing through the coils and all of his mechanical technology, he was really suppressed because he was teaching people how to be free in their minds. And so that is what we carry on that tradition here. So everything you can imagine is real. Everything you can imagine can indeed be brought into form. Will it be new forms? I think so. And these plasmic beings are saying, yes, they are new forms, but we're here in this new form. We've introduced ourselves, the self, our self, capital S self. We've reintroduced yourself to you in a way you can see, sense, feel, because we can see the plasma filaments of the sun. We can see these orbs in the sky. We can feel their effects in our bodies from the supercharged ionosphere and our own sort of molecular compression being released. You can feel agitation as it does, but because what it's compressing, all these ideas of discreteness and separation, is really being released out. The three states of matter that we, gas, solid, liquid. Then there's this plasma, which is a state of matter, but it behaves in a completely different way than the three states of matter we sort of allow for in our conceptual reality. And so it's supercharged with electromagnetism. We know all of this work is electromagnetic healing. So we really let these beings show us these new forms, this plasmic elemental force. All of the elements we already know about already exist in these interdimensional sort of plasma-informed forms. And so do we. And so does everything we're made out of. And so do we extend ourselves into where we are, one with this plasmic force. Kayas tokorruquin satrayas nashun, sansatruai sikianain siki. Kindriatorru kayas torruquin samnatruyas tishitria kinandritis. Remember your creativity. You are a co-creative being. Creativity is your natural state. Everyone is creative. It's not a talent. It is our natural state, and everyone has it. It's just about remembering it and about being brave enough to really follow that joy, which you will. You are not alone. You are not alone. If you're having trouble seeing, sensing, or feeling these beings in the plasma, you're not alone because I am here with you. You can see me. Look at this beautiful sunlight being reflected. You can see them too. We can see the light of the sun. And they are in every ray. As are you. Natra nombo shonso konindria tisekiata yiti kianitritisa. Very, very beautiful. I think we're going to end this here today. Glad to end it on a high note. Amen. Kietaraisi. Very, very gorgeous. Oh, I'm loving the sun. Kinatrato samsakayashnitriat. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to all the members. Thank you to Haley again. If you're interested in joining the channel, you can do that. I think there's a little join button or there's a link in the bio. If you want to go deeper into the work, one-on-ones are open. You can find that linked below as well. Trance meditation is also an incredibly powerful way to sort of deepen this work that we do together on the channel. Deeply immersive healing experiences, awakening, assistance in revelation, and reunifying yourself and your awareness with just, oh my gosh, infinite levels of beingness. And it will be made clear to you, and the information you need will be brought forth into your awareness as you need it. But it is an incredible discovery process, an incredible healing process, an incredible way to really reunite with yourself and different parts of self. And as you interpret that as different beings in the field, it's all just coming home. We're all just coming home to self, and these trance meditations are really, really, really powerful. Really, really powerful electromagnetic healing. There's also written guidance and personal trance healing, so you can check all that out below. Thank you again so much, and I will see you next time.